Hey guys, in today's video I will be doing another update on the, now it seems, the somewhat increasing potential of this potentially a pretty big winter storm coming through the northeast and southern New England, going towards middle of this upcoming week. The models have become a lot more consistent and have become in a lot more agreement with one another, particularly the GFS, the CMC, and the European models. They've all started to really get in good agreement with each other, especially over the past few days. And even this morning, in fact, they're in quite good agreement. Here's this. We're starting off with the GFS model. I'm going to show you the GFS model first. Here's one of the frames from the GFS model. This is at around 7, 8 in the morning on Thursday, December 17th. And you can see very, very heavy snowfall there for particularly New York City, Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, including Boston, Springfield, and even down towards the Cape even, which is very interesting. That low pressure center is at 993 millibars. Now let's bring this back, show you it from the beginning. Actually, first, in fact, there's been that people have been talking about the potential of smaller snowstorm for these regions. Some of these regions in the northeast New England, bringing some lighter snowfall to these regions, including New York City, much of New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, portions of Massachusetts, maybe some mountainous regions in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and even in in especially particularly southeastern Pennsylvania. So that's interesting. We'll have to watch that, see what the chances end up being like for this storm. But let's not really pay too much attention to that currently. It's really more this big storm midweek that we're going to really be paying attention to. You can see it comes up from I believe it starts more out towards like the Gulf, deep south area, and then starts coming up like a nor'easter. And then you can see it starts to really move up north along the northeast coast, and you can see by about 7, 8 p.m. on Thursday, December 17th, heavier snowfall has broken out across central and southeastern Pennsylvania, northern Virginia, just north of D.C. Baltimore is barely included within that, and then lighter to moderate snowfall is extending out from there towards New York City, southern Connecticut, Long Island, the northern and western portions of Pennsylvania, and southern New York State there. Ohio has some lighter snowfall. West Virginia, the mountains of West Virginia has some lighter to moderate snowfall. And then as we move forward in time, the low pressure center, you can see, is starting to really strengthen. Gets down to around I believe that's a 996 millibar low pressure center, and you can see heavier snowfall has started to move in towards New York City, Long Island, lots of Connecticut, very eastern portions of Pennsylvania, eastern portions of Pennsylvania. Philadelphia, you can see it's going to be very interesting. I think from between DC to Philadelphia, those regions are going to be the biggest areas that I think will experience the hardest forecast for potential of total snowfall, because they might be like right along that mixing line, particularly DC, and Baltimore. Philadelphia may be within that heavy snowfall, or might be in the mix to rain area, so we'll have to really watch that. But you can see that otherwise, northern New Jersey also is in that heavy snowfall. Boston and Rhode Island there, Providence, Rhode Island, lots of pretty much all of Massachusetts is under the light to moderate snowfall. Rhode Island's in that moderate snowfall. Connecticut's in that moderate to heavy snowfall. Move this forward another frame back to around 7, 8 in the morning on Thursday, December 17th, and you can see the low pressure center is now located a few like 100 or so miles southeast of Cape Cod, and it's at a 993 millibar low pressure center, and very, very heavy snowfall is being shown for still New York City, Long Island, much of Connecticut. Pretty much all of Connecticut is within that heavy snowfall. Same thing with Rhode Island. Much of Massachusetts is within that heavy snowfall, including Boston, the Cape, even Springfield. Lighter to moderate snowfall is still occurring for portions of Vermont, New Hampshire. Maine's in that lighter snowfall. Much of New York State is within lighter to moderate to even heavy snowfall. Pennsylvania is still within lighter to moderate snowfall. New Jersey is in light to heavy snowfall. Heavier snowfall there towards the northern part of New Jersey near New York City. Lighter snowfall down towards Cape May and generally the southern Jersey coast. And then as we move forward towards about 1-2 p.m. on Thursday, December 17th, the snowstorm is starting to move away a bit, and now it's starting to show more lighter snowfall for Connecticut, Long Island, Rhode Island, much of Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire's in lighter to moderate snowfall. Maine's in lighter to moderate snowfall. Boston and the Cape are still getting hammered with heavier snowfall. And then finally, by the time we get towards 7-8 p.m. On Thursday, December 17th, the storm's starting to move away finally. So let's check out now what the GFS model is showing for total snowfall from this snowstorm. And you can see quite heavy amounts where the showing potentially a foot plus extending anywhere from the mountains of West Virginia, just to the north of Richmond and north and west of Richmond, up towards just to the northwest of Washington, D.C., and Baltimore is potentially within that, like around 12 inches area. Philadelphia is right on that line of getting a foot or maybe only half a foot or nothing. Eastern Pennsylvania looks to get up towards maybe between 14 to 20 inches of snowfall. The northern half of New Jersey looks to get quite hammered, upwards of a foot, getting close towards that 20-inch mark. New York City could see up towards that 20-inch mark. Particularly the coastal regions of Connecticut up towards those more hilly regions in northeastern Connecticut could see as high as 20 to 22 inches of snowfall. The biggest winner here, as of the GFS model currently, shows it towards that Cape in southeastern Massachusetts, getting towards 2 feet plus of snowfall, which is very interesting. And this is also kind of showing somewhat of a classic Washington, D.C. to Boston major snowstorm track of snowfall. So that's quite interesting. We'll have to continue to monitor that quite closely. So yeah, it's very cool to see. And in fact, let's show you the CMC model now, and I'll show you what the CMC model is thinking. And in fact, the GFS and CMC models are now the two models that are in best agreement with one another. You can see we move this forward. The CMC model doesn't really show that potential snowstorm on Monday, but we move forward in time towards that Wednesday time frame. You can see it's showing that low pressure center coming up from the south with that heavier snowfall going on a bit farther. It shows the system maybe a little bit farther down towards the south and east, where Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and even Philadelphia then are getting in on the heaviest snowfall there. And then you can see as we move forward even towards around 1-2 a.m. on Thursday, December 17th, heavy snowfall is breaking out still, going on for Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, Long Island, much of Connecticut. Rhode Island's in that moderate to heavy snowfall. Massachusetts is in that light to moderate snowfall. Particularly eastern Pennsylvania is within that heavier snowfall. Much of New Jersey is within that heavier snowfall. So that's quite interesting. And then we get towards around 7-8 a.m. on Thursday, December 17th. And the low pressure center is now located a couple hundred miles south of Long Island at 993 millibars, with heavy snowfall still going on for Connecticut, northern New Jersey, New York City, Long Island, Rhode Island, southeastern Massachusetts, including Boston and the Cape. And then we move this forward again, and the storm is starting to move away with lighter snowfall still lingering, and then it's all over by the time we get towards the later evening hours of Thursday, December 17th. Now let's show you what the CMC model is showing for total snowfall. And you can see quite similar totals, I would like to say here. If you look at the GFS model and the CMC model, showing pretty similar snowfall totals, particularly for the New York City, northern New Jersey, and southwestern Connecticut region, showing potentially up towards that 20-inch mark of snowfall. You can see majority of Connecticut will likely see between 1 to 2 feet of snowfall according to the CMC model. Quite interesting. Much of New Jersey could see anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snowfall. Southern New York State, including Long Island, New York City, could see anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snowfall. Same thing in southeastern Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia, could see 1 to 2 feet of snowfall. Baltimore and D.C., in fact, as well, could see close to that 18 to 20 inches of snowfall mark. So quite interesting. Richmond, Virginia, looks to be kind of seems to be kind of on that line of getting pretty decent snowfall accumulations to practically nothing. So that's interesting there. It's pretty cool that the GFS model, particularly in the CMC model, both of those models are now in a better agreement and the best agreement with one another than with the Euro. But I'll show you the Euro now, in fact. And all right, so here's the European model. And let's move this forward in time. You go through this weekend, getting towards Monday, and oh, I almost skipped over that there. You can see the European model, just like the GFS model. The European model has been the main model that's been showing this potential of the Monday snowstorm. You can see there it is around. This is around, I believe, 1 to 2 p.m. on Monday, so that's quite interesting. But let's move this forward a bit more. Oh, 1 second. 1 sec there. There we go. We move this forward, and you can see that there's the snowstorm coming up from the south, and it starts to really. All right, so this is actually interesting. The European model, I'll bring this back a bit. European model has a storm coming in from the south, has Washington D.C. and Baltimore starting off with snow, as lighter to moderate snow. You see, there's that mixing line, there's the rain, and there's that heavier snowfall there for interior portions of Virginia, getting closer towards those mountains of West Virginia. And then, if we move this forward, you can see it brings rain now towards rain and mix towards Washington D.C. and Baltimore, with very, very heavy snowfall there for those very northern and eastern portions of West Virginia, very northern Virginia, including portions of very western Maryland and very southern Pennsylvania. Those are very, very heavy snowfall rates there. Quite interesting. But you can see Philadelphia, New York City, Long Island, portions of southern Connecticut are starting to get in on the snowfall. We move it forward again, and you can see that Baltimore, Philly region, Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia, as I said, could have that problem with being right on that mixing line, as you can see there as well, according to the European model. Philadelphia is right on that mixing line, with very heavy snowfall just to its north and west, and then getting towards that heavier snowfall there for that New York City and much of Connecticut there. And now Massachusetts, Rhode Island are getting in on that lighter to moderate snowfall as well. Now let's move this forward another frame, and you can see some lighter to moderate snowfall still happening. This is now around, I believe this is around 7 to 8 a.m. on Thursday, with lighter to moderate snowfall still going on for New York City, Long Island, a good portion of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, particularly eastern and southeastern Massachusetts, including Boston and portions of the Cape. The Nantucket and Cape Cod are more in the mix region, but then we move this forward one last frame and starting to move out of New England and the Northeast. So now let's look and see what the European model is showing for the snowstorm in general. You can see still showing very, very heavy snowfall going on there for, you can see D.C., Baltimore, you can see right on that line of getting like 7 to 8, maybe close. Baltimore's getting close to around that foot mark. Philadelphia, European model showing Philadelphia, even though it potentially goes in that mixing time frame, it still shows Philadelphia getting, towards 16, 17 inches of snowfall. Very interesting. But you can see particularly lots of eastern Pennsylvania, but particularly very central and southern Pennsylvania. You could see the jackpot in Pennsylvania of around 20, 21 inches of snowfall. Quite interesting there. And then New Jersey, you can see much lighter amounts getting towards the coastline there, only around like practically any accumulation to 5 inches. And then as you get more inland, you get more of that like half a foot to over a foot of snowfall. Particularly northern New Jersey is where you'd want to be according to the European model, where snowfall totals could be anywhere from 14 to even around 20 inches of snowfall. New York City, Long Island particularly could see, most regions could see up towards a foot of snowfall. New York City itself could see potentially around 15 to 16 inches of snowfall. Connecticut, in general, Connecticut could see anywhere from, 10, around a foot of snowfall, to around maybe a foot and a half of snowfall, around 16 inches. So that's quite interesting. Rhode Island could see, particularly just all of Rhode Island, could see anywhere from 12 to 15 inches of snowfall or so. Boston is like right on that line of getting anywhere from like 10 to potentially a foot plus of snowfall, particularly southeastern Massachusetts there, getting towards the Cape. Could see the bullseye there in Massachusetts, getting towards around that 15 inches of snow mark. So quite the interesting setup we have currently, according to the main GFS, CMC, and European models, with this snowstorm, with this Wednesday to Thursday snowstorm. So they're all three of them are quite good agreement. You can see, even like for, let's say, just for the New York City area, where you saw the GFS CMC model are much more in agreement, showing around like 20 to 22 inches of snowfall. European model isn't too far behind there, particularly for southwestern Connecticut, could see 16 inches of snowfall. It's not terribly too far behind there. Same thing with New York City, around 15, 16 inches of snowfall as well. As the GFS and CMC models were showing around 20 inches of snowfall as well. So, the models are continuing to, as we see, progressing throughout each day, starting to get much more and much better agreement with all three of them altogether. So we're going to continue to monitor all three of the models and see how they continue to show this snowstorm moving forward towards tomorrow and into this upcoming week, getting even closer to the actual event itself towards Wednesday. I believe that once we get more towards tomorrow, Monday is around the time frame where we can start to really think that this actually truly might occur. It's still somewhat up in the air, but the potential is now starting to rise a good bit as of today, it seems. So, again, all three of the models are in quite good agreement, especially today now, with the potential of the snowstorm and even the potential snowfall amounts in a lot of areas with the snowstorm. So I'll keep you guys up to date with the snowstorm, again, as we move forward throughout the rest of this weekend into next week towards the actual event, towards the Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please consider liking the video, commenting on the video. Please make sure, in fact, you have your notification settings on for my channel so you get daily updates on this snowstorm, because it seems, as of right now, practically everyone in the megalopolis from Washington, D.C. up through Boston could see accumulating snowfall from this snowstorm as of right now. So, anyone watching, anyone who watches my channel, if you guys live in that region from Washington, D.C. to Boston, please make sure you have your notification settings on for my channel so you get daily updates on the snowstorm and what potential of the snowstorm you have with the snowfall totals and everything as we get closer to the event. So again, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please consider liking the video, commenting on the video. If you're a first-time viewer and you liked what you saw in today's video, if you like winter weather content, if you like snowstorm content, I'm going to be doing tons of that content as we move forward and progress through the rest of this winter. And so if you like that kind of content, if you enjoy that kind of content, again, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.